From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network and Troy campuses around the world, this is TrojanVision Weekly.
Hello and welcome to TrojanVision Weekly. We're glad you joined us for this look at what's happening in and around Troy University. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. This Saturday is Troy's big homecoming football game, but that's not the only homecoming competition this week. Troy University students are participating in a variety of events leading up to Saturday's Gridiron Contest, the first of which lets students display their musical talents. Vanikia Daniels has all the action.
With homecoming week being upon us, what better way to launch the start of it all than to bring Troy University students together for a night to reveal musical talent. Along with co-ed organizations, on Monday night, members from various sororities and fraternities participated in an open mic event entitled Who's Got Sound?
Who's Got Sound is just an opportunity for young people to come out that are in organizations here around campus to showcase their talents through music. We've already had some great acts so far tonight, and we're going to keep that going. This is our kickoff event tonight for this week, and we're looking forward to continuing that.
According to Ham, the homecoming committee is very pleased with the audience turnout, but members of the audience were simply pleased by the entertainment.
I'm really enjoying it. I love it. It's like I love the environment and everything that's going on.
One student analyzes his performance tonight and believes he did a great job.
A little bit nerve-wracking because I kind of messed up a little bit, but like everybody getting all hyped up and stuff, I was really happy because like I've never performed at like a bigger scale like this before, but performing it with a lot of Trojans tonight, I think was really a great monumental success for me tonight.
Vanikia Daniels, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Everyone usually puts on their Trojan colors to show their spirit during homecoming week. That also applies to the roads that go through campus. Monday night, Troy students took over a stretch of University Avenue and painted their best representation of Trojan Spirit. Cody Giles has the story.
On Monday, the Student Government Association hosted street painting on a closed-off section of University Avenue near the Shackelford Quad.
Tonight we're just coming out here, all the organizations, co-ed, Greek, and even some independent people are just coming together and painting squares showing Trojan pride and showing why they're falling for Troy.
Between the food, the music, and the smiles all around, there's something for everyone to get into and enjoy. And don't worry if you missed out, there's plenty more to come.
We have a blood drive going on. We have Palladium pictures being taken. We have a pie Palooza where the homecoming court members will be pied. We have starving and carving where you're going to carve pumpkins and eat Chick-fil-A. There's tons.
Regardless of who spoke, one thing was evident, and that there was a clear love for Troy.
Troy is just a place that I've come to love since I came here. This is my third year. I'm a junior now, and I'm really getting involved on campus, and it's helping me love the campus even more.
It was so easy to get involved. The people here are so wonderful. The administration here is so caring. It's been the best 4 years that I could have imagined.
With the turnout and the amount of smiles on people's faces, it's easy to say that we're brushing up on our Trojan spirit. Cody Giles, Troy, TrojanVision News.
And homecoming is a memorable experience for many Troy University students, but Wednesday they had a chance to make it even more so as they were able to permanently capture their homecoming moments for next year's Palladium Yearbook. Nathaniel Rodriguez gives us a look.
Down on the first floor of the Trojan Center, the Troy University Palladium staff has taken portraits of students this Wednesday for the upcoming 2017-2018 yearbook.
Students taking their portraits were not only limited to just being themselves, they also could dress up or have different props.
We let people do group photos, so some people will take photos with 2 or 3 people, and then we've had a couple people bring in their pets and take one with like their dog, and then a few years back we had someone dressed up as Spider-Man, which was one of my personal favorites, and so whatever you want to do to just have fun and put your personality in it.
But the Palladium wasn't the only one benefiting from this event, as it was part of the Homecoming Week competition for on-campus organizations.
So we have a system set up where you fill out a doc, like a Google Doc, and then you have to have 15% for each organization to get your points for homecoming.
And as for the students, several of them said there was a difference between getting their photos taken by the Palladium and getting photos taken back in high school.
It was a lot more like relaxed and just like calm, and like in high school it was kind of like you had to stay in like a long line and like it took forever, so it was like kind of like just chill.
I missed out on my high school picture day because I had pink eye. So pretty much being able to come in here and take a senior photo, it was a good experience because I missed out on it. So I'm glad that I did it.
Aside from taking photos, the Palladium staff also handed out copies of last year's yearbook, which can also be found in the Palladium office at 109 Wallace Hall. Nathaniel Rodriguez, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
Troy University's homecoming queen will be announced during the game on Saturday, but prior to that, the court was making their rounds around campus, and that meant having some dessert. Well, pie to be exact. Paige Weeks explains.
Pumpkin pie, apple pie, cream pie, oh my! Students who were looking to satisfy their sweet tooth, blow off some steam, and even become a pumpkin pie eating champion had an opportunity Tuesday during the SGA's Pie Palooza event. $1 went a long way as students could purchase a slice of pie or even throw a pie in some of the homecoming court attendants' faces.
We get to wear these lovely, beautiful trash bags, so it's just fun. It's a great way to get to know everyone, and it raises money for a great cause. So
the homecoming court attendants weren't the only ones who ended up with pie on their faces. Participants of the pumpkin pie eating contest also got a little messy.
It was absolutely disgusting. The first bite, I was like, I just couldn't do it. But I tell you, the water helped, and I won.
But with winning such a sweet competition comes many mixed emotions.
I feel sick, proud, dapper, disgusted. It's a lot. I feel accomplished. Fall homecoming. It's crazy.
The cherry on top of the Pie Palooza was that all of the proceeds from the event will be going to benefit the Pike County's Head Start Foundation.
It's an organization, it's like a school in Pike County for some underprivileged kids, and so we're supporting some of their efforts to engage these kids and make their lives, all the more enjoyable.
Pie Palooza is one of the many events that the SGA is hosting during homecoming week in hopes of making this homecoming one of the best yet. But you definitely have to be careful because you never know when you might get pied. Thank you. Paige Weeks, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
Halloween is next Tuesday, but the calendar didn't bother the children of Troy University's faculty, staff, and students as they had a little early Halloween fun Wednesday night. Troy University's fraternities and sororities welcomed the little trick-or-treaters to Sorority Hill for some fun and candy at the Homecoming Committee's Fall Festival. Chelsea Law has the story.
Halloween came early to some of the Troy faculty and staff children last night on Sorority Hill for the Homecoming Committee's Fall Festival.
It's just to get the community together and support the school and support the community, have a good time before homecoming gets real crazy and Halloween, everybody has stuff to do next week. So something fun now just to celebrate and have a good time.
Kids of all ages came together and dressed up in many different costumes to play games such as cornhole and finding a pumpkin in the haystack. One Troy employee and grandparent thought that this was safer than trick-or-treating.
It's not really practical to go knock on a stranger's door and say, I like some candy. That's not okay. This answered that call for us. It's a safety area. We don't worry about where the candy's coming from. We feel safe that the children are going to get good quality products and that they would enjoy themselves.
Though there were lots of games and even food to be eaten, kids of all ages only had one thing on their mind.
Getting candy.
Getting a lot of candy.
Getting candy.
The event is formally known as Haunted Hill, but this year it was orchestrated by the Homecoming Committee. Chelsea Law, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
While it's homecoming week, it was also time for a birthday party. Troy University's birthday. Trojans filled the dining hall to wish the school they love a happy 130th birthday. Antonia Reese has the details.
So today we serve about 22,000 students. 8,000 of them are here in Troy, but we have thousands of others on our other campuses.
These are the words of Chancellor Jack Hawkins on the 130th anniversary of Troy University, and as he reflects on the past, he looks towards the future.
I know I'm excited, and I think the Trojan Nation is excited about the future of this institution.
This makes 28 years for the Chancellor. He credits the notion that through bonding and understanding with the students, it betters the university as a whole.
This is my 29th football season, and I think I'm even more excited today than I was even 28 years ago. Troy University is a remarkable place, and it's remarkable, I think, because it's one of the healthiest environments for all of us. We have students here from 76 countries. I believe that when you understand each other, you appreciate each other, and then you magnify the value of those differences. We're different in so many ways, but we're alike in most ways.
Troy University's homecoming committee member Douglas Dick speaks on the meaning of Troy's 130th birthday, tying into the theme of this year's homecoming.
Part of our theme for Homecoming Week is celebrating where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. So this is celebrating where we've been. We've got pictures hung up of Troy for the past 50 years, and so we're just celebrating our history. So yeah, it's just really tied into the week very well.
With the celebration came some of the biggest names in Troy, in the likes of Mayor Reeves, head football coach Neil Brown, and a number of Troy City Council, as well as Alumni Association members. Antonio Reese, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, we'll see how the Johnson Center for the Arts is shining the spotlight on what it means to be from the South. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
So we were walking to school.
I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really want
smart.
cheese pizza.
Sometimes her mind wanders.
We should have a sleepover.
I remember saying, Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
I really hope she doesn't have
really
another
hope
bad
we
day
don't have another bad day at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Now back to Troy Trojan Vision News Weekly.
Students in Troy University's dance program routinely get to show how they execute dance technique. However, once a year, some of those students get to be more involved in the planning process of a show. Every fall, the program holds a choreography showcase for students. Faith Rosenwald shows us how the dancers are preparing for this year's show.
Troy's Department of Dance has been hard at work in preparing for this year's fall student choreography show. 13 different students will have their pieces featured in styles ranging from hip-hop to modern contemporary, ballet, tap, and more.
As a choreographer, I've been able to expand on my art, so not only as a performer, I'm getting to create pieces too, so to be here at the university and have that opportunity, I think it's going to help me expand in my future career when I move to New York and start pursuing this as a lifetime thing.
Dancers had to audition to be selected in a piece. Rehearsals began as early as August, including London's modern contemporary piece.
Okay, London's piece is about humanity. We're trying to discuss and figure out the different parts of humanity and what makes us human, and just interaction through emotion and physical.
In addition to 6 hours a week of ballet and potentially more technique classes, dancers spend an hour and a half for each rehearsal in the studio.
It just keeps our bodies going and warm, just like athletes, how they have to train. Dancers have to do the same thing. Even though we're seen more as an art, it's very physical. We have to be strong, we have to be agile, and so it just keeps us warm and going throughout the week.
After hours spent creating material, London says it would be a joy for the student community to come support the dance department with their attendance at the show.
I hope everyone at the university can come and see our work. We've put in hours and hours into the show, and everyone here has the same love for this art and for the performance world. So to have people come in that have never been to this and to see that, I think it will really open up their eyes as well and maybe make them come and see more dance shows, not even just here, but out in the open too as well.
The show will run from November 13th through the 18th. Students can head to the box office to purchase tickets. Faith Rosenwald, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
It was a night filled with music and entertainment. The Troy African Student Association held a dance and fashion show featuring the beats and rhythms of Africa. Lindsay Smith has the details.
On Thursday night, the Trojan African Student Association hosted the Beats and Rhythms of Africa, a night tailored to educating Troy students on African culture. And while there was a lot of culture on display, members were shocked at the turnout for the event.
We actually weren't expecting a lot of people to show. We most thought it was just gonna be African students, but then it was cool to see some other American students coming in, just being able to see.
The members of the association have been promoting Africa awareness across Troy's campus this week through a variety of activities. All of these activities leading up to the big night in which members were attempting to project what Africa is today to its fellow students through a fashion show and a dance performance.
Sometimes we have stereotypes about cultures that if we get to know the person, like, we'll definitely, like, it was definitely wrong what we do. So it's like just getting to know other people and their culture and being able to understand the difference.
Through dancing, fashion, and food, the Trojan African Association wanted to spread Africa awareness to Troy students, and I got the chance to catch up with a couple of those students after the event.
Just watching them dance, it kind of made me feel closer to them and like get an insight on their culture. And it's interesting to see like the dancing, how each of them, even though they were doing the same dance, all did it in different ways. Like they all had their own way to dance the same dance. It was really cool.
I guess I just like how like these students just find enough value in their culture and their home, or even if they're not from Africa, that they want to embrace it still, even in the States, and like share it with other people. And I like that a lot.
The association hopes that students took something away from the celebration and maybe even sparked an interest in African culture. Lindsay Smith, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
Change is something everyone goes through in life, and it can be a difficult process for some that don't like change. Last Thursday, Trojan University students learned how a Syrian family handled change through a movie shown by the Southern Circuit Film Series. Yolanda Allen has that story.
On Thursday night, the Southern Circuit Film Fest presents Dahlia's Other Country. The film is about the journey of Dahlia and her family going through the changes from living in Syria and now living in America. According to the director, the experience was very interesting.
It was an interesting process to watch someone grow up and change her opinions and kind of adjust to life in America and go through the process of like what most immigrants to this country go through. Adjusting to life, keeping some of their traditions while discarding others.
Finding a girl like Dahlia and her family was actually very easy for the director to find.
I met Dahlia because I know her older brother Mustafa, and Mustafa and I worked on my last film, The Light in Her Eyes, and when we were doing outreach and distribution for the film in 2012, I was looking for a family or a character to follow who was coming from Aleppo, who was leaving Aleppo because of the war and coming to Los Angeles. And it just so happened that his mother and sister left Aleppo and were in Los Angeles during the summer of 2012, and I proposed the idea of following Dahlia through high school.
Troy University was the last stop for the director's tour, but she has more plans in the future.
I might continue following her mother and telling her story. I'm not sure. I'm still working on doing a lot of distribution around this film. Other ideas that I might work with Robin Cost-Lewis, who's the Poet Laureate of Los Angeles, about a film that's about the migration of African Americans from Louisiana to Los Angeles.
Yolanda Allen, TrojanVision News.
Southern stereotypes are no stranger to people that live in the southern United States. However, a new exhibit in Troy's Johnson Center for the Arts shows what life is truly like for a Southerner. Paige Weeks has that story.
It's the interpretation many people had of what it meant to be a Southerner.
Art can show us many different aspects of life, but the work currently on display at the Johnson Center has a specific purpose, giving a glimpse into what life is like in the South. For the first time in the Johnson Center's history, artists submitted their work to be judged, all in hopes that their piece of art captured the true essence of Southern living.
You'll find cotton, you'll find paintings of people or landscapes, in this case, a flower.
You can find anything from a picture of Southern women's fashion to a picture of some watermelons. And as one artist told me, that there is one sculpture here that represents a childhood hunting trip.
The title of this piece is Treed. When I was a kid, I used to go coon hunting at night with my uncle and great uncle, and this is what my interpretation of the art of being Southern is going coon hunting in the Pike County River Swamp.
Johnson Center employees hope that people will take the time to not just look at the art, but to experience it.
Art is not just a painting or not just a sculpture. Art is a lot more than that, and that's what we want people to do, is come and experience the art, take the time, not walk by quickly.
The top 3 winners of the competition were announced last night, as well as the 12 recipients of the Jurors Award. Paige Weeks, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
Some little ghosts and ghouls got an early start on Halloween on the square in downtown Troy. Anna Kate Patterson gives us a look at this year's Pumpkins Around the Square.
The children of Troy are gearing up for Halloween by practicing their trick-or-treating skills. Friday afternoon, families met on the square to take pictures, play a few games, and even trick-or-treat at the local storefronts around the block. Troy Bank & Trust's Diana Lee explains why she believes it's important for local businesses to get involved with community events like this.
Well, I think it's important because we are invested in the community, and they need to know that. They need to know that not only are we a business for profit, but we also like giving back.
As a citizen, Lee raised 3 children here in Troy. She says as a parent, she's glad to live in a small town that cares about the small children.
You hear in a lot of small towns where there's nothing to do, there's nothing for my children to do. That's definitely not the case in Troy. We have so many opportunities, so many events for children, and this just adds to the list.
And while Troy Bank & Trust and the other businesses were there to be involved with the community and support the local children, they all knew the kids were there for one reason.
Candy!
Lee said Troy Bank & Trust had about 2,000 pieces of candy at its booth. And these children were all looking for their favorites.
Gummy bear! Chocolate. I don't really know, honestly. Gummy bears.
Smarties. And though the favorite candies vary from child to child, everyone agrees that any candy is better than no candy. Anna Kate Patterson, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
It's Red Ribbon Week across the country. Schools across the U.S. are working on ways to try and keep young students away from drugs. And that included an effort at Charles Henderson Middle School on Monday. Madison Neal has the details.
This year's theme is Your Future is Key, so be drug-free.
Red Ribbon Week is in full swing at Charles Henderson Middle School, where students are being educated and encouraged to live drug-free. I stopped by the school and asked a few students why they chose to sign their pledges.
Your choices follow you throughout life, and I mean, honestly, what's so great about doing a drug?
I don't want any of my friends hurt in a car accident and all bad things, and I don't want to get involved in it either.
It's important because this can make or break your future. Like, you need to be drug-free because it can affect your life in many ways.
Students today flocked to the table to sign the pledge to be drug-free. And I signed the pledge too. Ready to be drug-free? Yes, ma'am.
Oh. For Pareto, signing the pledge meant more than just writing her name. She says it's a promise.
Because it symbolizes a promise and to someone else besides yourself. And I feel like it's easier for us as kids to keep it.
These students are concerned about more than just themselves. This is what they would do if they saw a friend with drugs.
Honestly, I would tell them something of the sort as in, is it that bad? Is it worth it? Slap it out their hand.
And it's time for our last break, but when we return, we'll learn about an upcoming performance from Troy University's Concert Chorale. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Every day, we go about our lives driven by routine. Our vision is clouded by the very normalcy we take for granted. Countless victims of human trafficking walk among us, invisible, until now. The Blue Campaign provides a unified voice for those who combat human trafficking. Whether it's forced labor, domestic servitude, or the sex trade, it's time to open our eyes. Learn what you can do to help by visiting dhs.gov/Blue Campaign.
Does your family need a break from the daily routine?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. If you or someone you know needs a healthy dose of nature, visit discovertheforest.org and trade in the big screen for the big blue sky by visiting a local park or forest near you.
Hiking, picnicking, swimming, orienteering, climbing, admiring wildlife, or inhaling fresh air may result in heightened creativity, feelings of joy, harmony, satisfaction, and a euphoria that can only be explained as oneness with the natural world. Whoa.
Now back to Troy Trojan Vision News Weekly.
Troy University's Concert Chorale will have a performance next month. We'll learn about that performance in this week's Trojan Talk. Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. Today we'll be finding out about the upcoming Concert Chorale performance from Diane Orlovsky to talk a little bit about what's going on in Concert Chorale. So thank you for joining us. And tell us a little about this performance. It's going to be an interesting performance, right?
This is a very unique program. I've taken only 5 different texts, and I have found different composers' views and settings of those texts. So you could have a text that was set with Gregorian chant, and you could have the same text that's been set by a contemporary composer with contemporary sounds. It's pretty unique.
Going to be interesting. So it sounds like possibly a challenge for the audience, maybe to maybe get used to hearing these in different ways.
Well,
is that going to be something you're going to be able to pull off?
I think so. The title of the concert is Perspectives, and so basically in their program notes, we're going to be guiding them through the process, kind of explaining how the pieces are different and why they may be different, and why a particular composer chose to set it that way.
And so, what made you think that this is something you wanted to take on? Because obviously this doesn't seem like the normal type, I guess, song selection for something like this.
Right. I was talking with a colleague, and we were both talking about how fun that would be to do a concert that way, and it got me thinking, well, maybe we can do that. And it fell together very easily.
And so, but for the audience member, you said you're going to guide them along, but is it going to be noticeable that they've heard the same text in a different setting? Is it going to be something they're going to be able to catch on, like, oh, I heard this earlier?
I think so. When you hear Glory to God in the Highest done 3 different ways, you get it. You get it.
And now the concert itself, you talked about the doing the different texts in the different styles, but how many songs did that end up turning into across the entire performance?
Typically, an hour-long choir concert might have between 11 and 12 songs, and that's pretty much what we've done here as well. We have a guest choir.
Okay.
Oxford High School is bringing their top choir, and they're going to be singing with us on one of the numbers and doing a number. So we traditionally do this every fall as a recruiting tool, and to get really fine young high school singers with our singers, we find that that's a really wonderful experience.
Well, and not to mention, it gives an opportunity. You mentioned recruiting, but it just opens their eyes to what the next level of choral performance is. Even if it's not Troy, you may have someone thinking, this is where I can go to the next level.
Right, and one of my colleagues is singing on the concert, so that gets them to hear what our voice faculty would be like, and another colleague is playing the piano and the organ, and so they hear that as well. And then Dr. James C., the Montgomery chorale conductor, is also guest conducting. So it's, I like to bring in a lot of people. We like to, I share the podium. I think it's richer for our students as well.
And talk a little bit about is the challenge of bringing in a choir at the last minute there, because obviously you work with your choir, they work together last minute. It's got to be an interesting dynamic there, right there at the last minute.
It's a leap of faith. And you know that they're well prepared coming in, and so if you do your job, it should come together seamlessly.
We'll talk about where it's going to be, because the venue, I know for you, makes all the difference in the world in these concerts.
It does, and we typically use Bush Baptist Church, and we are again, because it allows our singers to be up close with the audience. It is Sunday, November 5th. The concert starts at 2:30, and like I said, it will probably be about an hour.
Now, traditionally these concerts are free, and this concert is free, but there's a bit of a catch, a little bit of a catch.
If you've been around me long enough in the last few months to know, we're fundraising. The group has been invited to perform at Carnegie Hall in May of 2018, and so we're going to ask for donations if people want to donate. We're also going to thank those that have donated thus far.
And that's part of this concert. You're going to recognize individuals that have given to this
already
effort,
to this worthwhile cause, and so our kids are busy fundraising. This is one more extension, and it's also a great opportunity for people to come and see what they're investing in, to listen to this group that's going to go to a very prestigious national stage and represent Troy University and the School of Music as well.
And of course, and not to mention, you might encourage some of the other audience members, if they see who's given, to maybe open up their wallets and help things out too.
If you hear these kids sing, you're going to fall in love with them.
And then give them the opportunity to sing at the bigger stage. So once again, before we go, when and where?
November 5th. It's a Sunday afternoon. It starts at 2:30. Seating is rather limited in the church, so I would get there early if I could, if I would, if I was attending. And so at 2:30, and it will be about an hour. And admission is free, but we'll take donations.
Take some donations there. So well, good luck with the concert and with the rest of the fundraising on the trip. I'm sure you'll be back here again to talk a little bit more about that in the future. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk. And that's what happened on the last week of October 2017. Find out what's happening throughout the week. You can tune into Troy Trojan Vision News at 5, 6:30, and 10:30 Monday through Friday, or anytime by following us on Twitter at Troy TV News. Also, feel free to like our Troy Trojan Vision News fan page on Facebook to see links to online content from Troy Trojan Vision News. Hope you join us again next week for another edition of Troy Trojan Vision Weekly.